Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the New Orleans Saints versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers Week 17 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, there's always going to be some variation between various variables. However, there's always going to be little nuggets of truth that could become bigger nuggets of truth as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you are new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So, starting with this matchup between the Saints and the Buccaneers. When you look at the NFL stat basic comparison data, and basic comparison data is essentially the basics. It looks at how the offense is doing, how the defense is doing, and of course how the special teams is doing based on the overall sort of team-based statistics. And when you look at all this information, it shouldn't be surprising that the Saints are favored in this game. So let's get into some reasons as to why. First off, the Saints, of course, have the superior offense. Better turnover ratio. They don't turn the football over as much as the Bucs do. Better sack percentage. They don't allow as many sacks. And, of course, better offensive score percentage, which is essentially the ability to put points on the board. The Saints are better at putting points on the board than the Bucs, which is very important to winning football games. The more points you score, the more games you are likely to win. I mean, it's kind of common sense, but I'm just letting you know. And then, of course, when you get to the defensive side of the football, the Saints also have the better defense. They have the better defensive offensive score percentage. The Saints have a better sack percentage, and the Saints also have a better interception percentage. The Bucs have a better turnover ratio, so the Bucs are essentially able to kind of get more fumble recoveries and that sort of thing. So from that kind of perspective, that's kind of where the Bucs are a little bit better. But most of the defensive data, and especially the defensive data that matters the most in defensive offensive score percentage, favors the Saints. So very much so that Saints would not be poor or untoward to say that the Saints have the better defense because they prevent more points, they create more sacks, they get more interceptions. Those are big parts of winning football games. Then of course you get to the special teams side of the football. The Bucs have the better punt return yardage. The Bucs also have a better kick return yardage. Defensive punt return yardage and defensive kick return yardage also favor the Bucs. The Saints, however, have a better field goal percentage, better extra point percentage, and better punting average. In terms of who has the better special teams, it's the Saints. Field goal percentage is by far the most important metric when it comes to special teams data. I mean, how many times has a game come down to a field goal, or tying up a game come down to a field goal, etc., and it shows up in the data as well. So the teams that have the better field goal percentage are typically going to win more football games versus every other special teams metric. Every other special teams metric is important. It's important to kind of know this other sort of information in terms of context, etc., but it's still, again, more so kind of favors the field goal percentage is by far kind of the biggest indicator. If you're going to say who wins, special teams data-wise, field goal percentage is a big factor, if not the biggest factor to consider, and the Saints have that when it counts. So the Saints have the better offense, they have the better defense, and they have the better special teams. So these are all three phases dominated by the Saints, which is why they're favored heavily in this game. Now, when you get to some other sort of data points, so now we're getting into some different down and distance data, completion percentage, etc. When you look at the Saints offense versus the Bucs defense when it comes to completion percentage, the Saints are pretty much favored on first, second, and third down. And not only that, this is the first week that the Saints have the best first down completion percentage, second down completion percentage, and third down completion percentage in the NFL currently. That is how well the Saints are playing when it comes to completion percentage. It is just downright insane, which really shouldn't be that insane, but it's definitely very fun to see how well the Saints offense has performed when it comes to their completion percentage. And then, of course, we get to the Bucs offense versus Saints defense when it comes to completion percentage, and this more so favors the Saints defense on second and third down. So the Bucs are kind of the opposite of the Saints. They've had a lot of issues in terms of completing passes, especially in second and third down situations, which means that the Saints are pretty much favored on offense and defense when it comes to completion percentage. Then we get to the Saints offense versus Bucs defense when it comes to rushing down. So this is the ability to convert with the run in terms of first downs and various downs and distances. This really has nothing to do with yardage or explosive plays. It purely has to do with the ability to get first downs with the run in these different downs and distances. And based on the overall information here, the Saints are favored on first and second down. So they will definitely kind of have the upper hand here when it comes to those downs and distances and, creating first downs there. Then, of course, you look at the Bucs offense versus Saints defense, where the Bucs offense is favored on second and third down when it comes to rushing downs. Then we get to passing downs. This is the Saints passing offense versus Bucs passing defense. And, of course, the Saints are pretty much favored across the board first, second, and third down. So definitely, heavily kind of favors the Saints here when it comes to passing downs, of course. Then we get to the Bucs offense versus Saints defense, where the Bucs offense is favored on first and second down. So again, both those downs and distances more so kind of favor the Bucs. This is the one thing the Bucs have been able to do fairly well for whatever reason. They've had issues with completion percentage. They've had issues with other sort of things, which we'll get into, but they have been able to at least convert first downs with the pass. So they've been able to do that, but not exactly translate everything else to success, if you will. Then we get to sack rates between the Saints offense and Bucs defense, where the Saints, quite frankly, do not create a lot of sacks, and the Saints don't allow a lot of sacks. So I'd say it's very unlikely that the Saints will give up a sack in this game. Then we get to the Bucs offense versus Saints defense when it comes to sacks, where it's kind of the opposite, where the Saints heavily favored in terms of second and third down. So very likely the Saints will probably get a couple sacks in this game against the Bucs. Then we get to interception ratio between the Saints offense and Bucs defense, where the Saints offense is favored on first, second, and third down. So definitely more so kind of favors them in terms of those downs and distances. And then finally, we look at the Bucs offense versus Saints defense, where the Saints defense is favored on first, second, and third down when it comes to the overall data here. So overall, general thoughts and feelings about this particular matchup. I think it is a Saints victory. It really shouldn't be that surprising, but when you look at the offense, you look at the defense, you look at the special teams, you look at all the micro matchups, and a lot of stuff just comes out on top for the Saints. Saints are more likely to get a sack. Saints are more likely to get interceptions. Everything looks to be going in the Saints' favor in this game. So I think it's very likely that the Saints will get a victory here. It is at Tampa Bay. It's the final game of the season. There have been known to be funny business happening. Every year when you have an end-of-the-year game or end-of-the-season game, teams are motivated. So, some teams are motivated to get a W over a playoff contender, etc. I mean, that always happens every year. But definitely this is the case as well. But I just think overall, when you look at all the information, you look at all the data, I just think it's very likely that when it comes to the Saints, they're going to get the job done. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you believe is going to win this football game? And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification button so that you're always notified when another video of mine drops. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.